So let's add fractions. In order to add fractions, we have to have one thing in common, and it has to be our denominator. And it's called least common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this where you can see it a little bit better. My print's only showing up small. So this is what this example is. 3/4 plus 1/4 plus 2/4. Some of you are going to want to reduce it to 4ths, but it's too early to do something like that. Since we're adding, we got to make sure our denominators are the same. And in this case, they are. So this worked out great. So I'm just going to rewrite it where everything is over the same denominator. So I have 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, in order to give my final answer, I have to make sure this is in the reduced form, simplest form there is. And I see that 6 is 2 times 3, multiple of 2 times 3, and 4 is a multiple of 2 times 2. So in this case here, they reduce, right? 2 goes in 2 itself, leaves me with 1 times 3, 1 times 2. So my fraction is 3/2, which this is called an improper fraction. If you're asked to convert it to a mixed number, you should be able to from my video that I showed previous. Alright, so now let's work one where the denominators are not the same. Okay, so I need to find my least common denominator here. I see that I have 3, 4, 6, and I'm going to show you one way to do it. You don't have to do it this way, but if I was to look for my least common denominator, I can list each denominator and then write them out in prime factors. Well, 3 is prime, so that's good. And it has a power of 1 on it, which we don't write it, but I'm going to do it this time. 4 is 2 times 2, which is the same as 2 squared. And then 6 is 2 to the first times 3 to the first, right? So whenever I'm going to list my prime factors here, I'm going to go through here and I'm going to pick each base once. I see I have a base of 3 and a base of 2. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to pick the one with the greatest power. Well, this power is 2 and this one's 1, so this 2 would be higher. So pick it. And 3, they have a power of 1, so that's all I'm going to use. So now I'm going to multiply it out. 3 to the first is 3. 2 to the fourth is, or 2 to the second is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So my least common denominator here is 12. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take each fraction and I'm going to have to multiply by whatever it takes to get 12 in the denominator. There's more than one way to write this. I'm going to write it this way. There's another way to write it if you want to use a different method. So 3 times what gives me 12? Well, 4. Whatever I multiply the bottom by, I have to multiply the top because I cannot change the equation. And we agree 4 goes into 4 once, 1 times 1/3. I still got the same equation. I'm just making it more workable. And then 4 times 3 is 12. That means I got to multiply the top. And then 6 times 2 gives me 12, and I got to multiply the top by the same thing. So now here I have 1 times 4, which is 4, and then 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2, 6 times 2 is 12. So now that they all have the same denominator, I'm going to write everything over the same denominator and then write it in its order with its operation, indicated operation. So 4 plus 9 is 13, plus 2 is 15. So now I got 15 twelfths. And I can reduce this because I know that 5 times 15 is 3, and I know that 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm able to reduce it by 3, and it gives me 5/4. And again, this is an improper fraction. I'm going to let you do this example on your own. It's 15/18 minus 8/18. If I apologize, I'm not sure if it's real clear on your end. So I'm going to work this next one. I have a mixed number minus a fraction, a proper fraction at that. So let me rewrite it just to make sure that you can see this. And I know that the denominator doesn't change. I'm going to go ahead and convert this to improper. 10 times 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So now I got it in both in fraction form, and I got to find the least common denominator because they're not the same. In this case, it's kind of easy to see. 10 will go into 10, 5 will go into 10, so 10 is my least common denominator, and I don't have to change that fraction because it already has the 10, so I'm going to only have to change this one. So 5 times 2 is 10, and I have to multiply the top by that as well. So now I have 11 tenths minus 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10, and since they're the same, I'm going to write them over the same denominator. Now I have 11 minus 6, which is 5 over 10, and it does reduce, right? Because we have 5 times 1 over 5 times 2, and I'm going to reduce it by 5, and it leaves me with a half. And this is a proper fraction.